for anybody new, we do stream every single Wednesday and every single Sunday from 8 p.m. till roughly 10, 11, or 12, depending on how many assets we have to look at, how many rants I go on, or how much like exciting stuff there is to talk about. But speaking of exciting stuff there is to talk about, I wasn't necessarily expecting a big move in crypto and stocks and yields today. So I have been working very hard on an indicator, a new version of an old indicator, and that is the Jewel Thief. So you guys know, obviously, the TJD Master is offered exclusively to group members, as a thank you for showing their support to me. All the rest of the indicators are free. If you have not downloaded those, you can get them available in the description through TradingView and use them as much as you want. But today we're going to take a look at the, I'm not sure what I'm going to end up calling it. Maybe still the TJD Jewel Thief, maybe just the Jewel Thief, maybe something else. But right now it is, in the meantime, just nicknamed the TJD BNE. And essentially what we got going on here is, so how do we want to do this? Let's turn off the other, well, we don't need to turn that one off. Let's get rid of the MACD. Well, I don't even think we need to mess with it. We can just make this a little bigger, and we'll just pay a little closer attention to what's going on here. So essentially what it is it's everything you guys have been seeing me do on my version of the Jewel Thief for some time now. I know that the various published versions I have, some have the RSI, some have the knife, some have the bullish and bearish control zones, some have hard buy and sell signals, but none of them have like all the aspects together. So basically what I've done is like fine-tuned this bad boy to be absolutely phenomenal. So for anyone that's already using the Jewel or the Jewel Thief, or even the Stoch Slope, you guys obviously know how well they work. This is exponentially better. And now we're going to talk about how and why. So there are multiple components of the BNE that we pay attention to. So essentially we have our stochastics in blue and pink, and then we have our knife, which is green, and then flips over to red. And obviously we pay attention to the crosses on the stochastics, as well as the levels where they're at, either in the bullish control zone or bearish control zone. And then with the knife, we pay attention to the color of it and the aggressiveness of the point. So when we see the knife sharp and pointy like that, we know that we're either at a macro high or we're about to put in a divergence, and that will be our macro high. So whenever we see a big stab like this to the upside, that's either our high already, or we'll put in a bearish divergence, and that will be our high. So we always pay attention to either this is the high or right afterwards we're about to get a high. Same with the low. When we see an aggressive knife stab down like this and it's red, that's either going to be our macro low, or we'll get a bullish divergence and then burst back to the upside. So, and then obviously we have two different varying levels of buys and sells. So we have our hard buys, which we see here in blue. We have our hard sells, which we see here in like this purple color. And then we have like a hard sell that is like a little more like pink. And then we have the actual S signal right here, which we can see like a little more clearly when we zoom in, or the B signal right here. So we have our hard buys and our hard sells. We have our bullish and bearish control zones. We have the strict criteria, hard buys and hard sells with the corresponding S and B signals. And then we also have our bullish and bearish control zone. We have the stochastics with the crosses. And then we obviously have the knife as well. So that is like essentially the composition of the indicator. So now let's take a look at each little part, and we can kind of break it down. So I'm going to look at the settings right here. I'm going to go in here, and you have the ability to change not only the colors of all these things, but also turn on and off any of these things that you want. So essentially, I'm going to turn everything off but the stochastics right now. Whoops. Sorry, I went to the wrong spot. I want to turn off the knife right here, but I want to go to the inputs and turn off all of these. And then we can go through and look at each one. So here is just the stochastics alone in blue and pink. And then we see here, obviously, we have our clearly defined bullish control zone and our clearly defined bearish control zone. So the solid blue line is the bullish control zone. It means the bulls are in control. It's their territory. They're in charge. The pink line down here is the bearish control zone. Once we're below that, that means the bears are clearly in charge. And then we have like our max level, which is 100. The only thing that can operate outside, and then 0 on the bottom. The knife can operate outside those levels, but the stochastics cannot. They obviously max out at 0 and 100. So that's our stochastics. Now what we do is we use the crosses of these stochastics to determine basically our, buy levels, and then also obviously the control zones. So if we click the first one here, that is highlight control zone, that will turn on the bullish and bearish control zones. So we'll notice that the background will light up when the bulls are in control as soon as the blue stochastic enters above our predefined bullish control zone, and then it will light up green as soon as it lights up, goes below that 20 level or our predefined bearish control zone. And same thing when we exit that level. As soon as the blue comes out of the 80 or bullish control zone, it unhighlights the level red, and then same thing with the green here as soon as we leave the control zone. And we have the ability to change the control zone, so we could set the bullish control zone at 90 and the bearish control zone at 10, so we'll get less areas where it lights up red or green. So it's more of a strict criteria. That way we get less signals, but the signals are more reliable. Or we could do the opposite. We could switch them to like 70 and say 30 instead of 80 and 20, and then we would get more areas where the bulls are in control, more areas where the bears are in control, but the areas are less reliable because the criteria is broader. So that's, basically the bullish and bearish control zone and how those operate. And then the next thing we're going to do is we will look at, I'm going to turn off the control zones, and then I'm going to turn on the any cross signal. So what this is going to do is this now will highlight any cross. So when we have a bearish cross, it will be in this like pinkish color right here. When we have a bullish cross of the stochastics, it will be in this bluish color right here. So there's no criteria on these crosses. So every time the blue crosses below the pink, it gives us a red or bearish cross signal. Every time the blue crosses above the pink, it gives us the blue or bullish cross signal. So obviously that is pretty simple. So, again, it's less reliable because it's anytime it crosses. But here it would give us a sell signal up here. Here it would give us a buy signal right here. Here it would give us a sell signal right here. So we see this buy signal was not the best signal. This sell signal was not the best signal, but this one was. So again, it's less reliable because it's any cross. So it does not take into account the level that it's crossing at, but it works great for scalping on short time frames, or even swing trades on longer time frames as well. So and then we have the buy and sell signal, which is just basically the same exact, you know what? I'm going to turn off the any cross signal, but you'll see that it puts the B and the S in the same place exactly. So all it is it's literally just giving us a hard S or a hard B wherever it lights up that zone. So it's not giving us anything different. It's just giving us, an S or a B instead. So you could use them together. You could use them one instead of the other. If you only wanted the S and the B's, or if you only wanted the highlighted area when they cross. Or you could use obviously both together. So all it does is just tells you buy the cross here, sell the cross here, buy the cross here, sell the cross here. Again, remember, this is not financial advice. I am not your financial advisor. These markets are extremely volatile. Please do your own research. Trade responsibly. But next we have our strict cross signal. So now I'm going to turn on the strict cross signal, and we'll see that there are much less of these. Okay, the reason there's much less of them is in order for the criteria to be met, it only gives you a hard sell or a hard buy signal when the cross takes place above the bullish control zone or below the bearish control zone. So these signals are much less common, but much more reliable. So we know for a fact that what are we looking for? Well, we're looking in a bullish uptrend. If we want to trade with the trend, we're looking to buy the dips. And in a bearish trend or a, bear market, we're looking to sell the rips. So in this case, the entire way up on the daily, we never see a hard buy signal because we never actually get inside the bearish control zone and have a cross to the upside. So that's not the best thing to do when you're trading with the trend, because it's very hard for the bears to take control and get both stochastics down in that level and then have the cross back to the upside. So in this case, It makes it difficult to trade with the trend with this strict criteria. So if I was just going to use this, for instance, I would alter the bullish or bearish control zone accordingly, whether we were in a bull or bear market. So in this case, we have the bearish control zone at 20. If I was going to use this signal effectively to buy the dips, I would want to move the bearish control zone up higher. So for instance, I would probably put it somewhere around like, say, 25 or 30. So I would go to either the bull CZ or the bear CZ, which is obviously control zone, and then I would alter it up higher until I started getting signals that I like. So here at 25, now I can see, again, I want to ignore the sells because I'm going to trade with the trend. I'm not looking to sell. I'm looking to buy the dips. So now where do I have those triggers at? Well, now at 25, I get a hard buy signal down here, which would be a beautiful buy. I get a hard buy signal right here, which would be a beautiful buy. I get a hard signal buy right here, which would be a beautiful buy. I get a hard buy signal right here, which would be a decent buy. But now here we got to look, we're potentially crossing into a bear market. So the same way that we're going to get a couple sketchy signals right here, where we're crossing between bull and bear market, same thing here. But when we're trading with the trend, just for an example, we can see from where we get the hard, oh, I may be blocking this with the, sorry about that. I forget I have the computer screen over there sometimes. So sorry if I was blocking that. We get the hard buy signal right here. It basically gives us a, move afterwards, depending on where you're going to, till the next signal or until we get basically into a bear market, depending on how you want to look at it. But we basically have, a 1,000% move after that hard buy. So, depending on how you want to look at it, maybe you want to go to just the first hard sell signal and you want to take some profits. You have a 75% move with 100% accuracy on that one. Then the next hard buy signal, if we take it at 25, we buy right here. And then until we get the next hard sell signal, you're looking at roughly 26%. Maybe you want to go till, the top or whatever. But, we're essentially looking at a 500% move to the upside. So obviously you have to pick what your criteria are going to be. You have to pick how many of these you want, hard buys or hard sells. Here we have again, basically at the absolute bottom right here. And then again, if you want to go till the first hard sell signal, you're looking at like a 15% move. If you want to go to, various levels, the cross below 200, peak to trough, etc., you have a 100% move. So, but again, if you're buying into the trend, if you're trading with the trend or accumulating or investing in an asset based on this hard buy signal in a bull market, you're not really looking to get out of the asset. You're more looking at where you add. So you're looking to buy and not really looking for targets to sell until we transfer into the bear market. And then you're looking to exit because now you want to start selling the rips instead of buying the dips. So the same way that we see that transition taking place, if we do go into a bear market right here, which looks possible or likely or whatever, we're then going to do the exact same thing, but the opposite version of it. So instead of switching the bearish control zone to like 25 to get more signals, maybe we want to switch the bullish control zone to 75 so we get more signals. And we can look back at the last bear market and see, basically, would that have worked? How effectively would it have worked? So we can see here, we get I should show you before I modify it actually. So we get actually a couple signals here. We get the hard sell signal right here at this top. We get the hard sell signal right here at this top. We get the hard sell signal right here at this top. But we miss out on like this capitulation move right here. We miss out on like this little scalp double top right here. So we want to basically alter it based on the previous history so that, we can get a little more signal action going on here. So maybe we want to move it to like 75 or somewhere around there. Maybe we want to move it slightly lower. Again, it's just about how often you want to get these signals. The more you open up the criteria, the less accurate they will be. So assuming we moved it to like say 75, which is 5-point difference like we did with the bullish control zone, that would give us the sell signal here. 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 So it's going to nail basically all these peaks. So again, if you're in a bull market, you want to have the criteria slightly different for the bear control zone. If you're in a bear market, you want to have the bull criteria slightly different for that control zone. So that is our strict criteria cross basically. And then let's see how that lines up now with our, any cross, or like just the initial one that we looked at. So we'll go all the way back to present. And then again, we'll see here, we have like no crosses on this in the bullish control zone, except for like way back here, like Rona action, which, was at like 9,000. So still did okay on that one, but you got no more signals since then. So let's go over to our settings here. And now again, the strict cross signal, we also have the buy and sell strict signal, which again is the exact same thing. So we can turn off the strict cross. And then if we just zoom in here, we notice that it's the same thing again. It's just putting the hard sell, the little S, right at those crosses, but it's only giving you the S when both the stochastics are inside of the bullish control zone. So again, you use that either instead of or in addition to the actual like highlight area as well. So so that is our strict cross. And then if we look at the comparison between the two, let's just kind of zoom out here and we'll see all the different, let's look at an area where we have bull and bear ones. So we see we have obviously a bunch of areas where we have the green and the red here. So we now can look at this and we can turn on the any cross signal and see how they correspond. So again, we're going to still have all the same cross signals initially, but now when the two colors interact together, we see here, here's a specific example. This is a bull cross signal, and because it has both the strict criteria, because it's in the bearish control zone, and strict criteria because it's in the bearish control zone, we see it's lit up in that like slightly brighter color. And the same thing with this cell right here and this cell right here. Because it's the strict cross and it's also the any cross at the same time, it's going to turn it a slightly brighter pink color. And you could alter these colors to make it turn like white or, whatever color you want to do. You can switch it up however you want. It's just how I have it set to. But essentially, that way you can identify with both the any cross and the strict cross criteria on. You can scroll through and see, okay, that's a any cross and a strict cross right there. That's an any cross and a strict cross. That's an any cross and a strict cross, etc. So, but having the ability to basically fine tune this indicator at will, and then obviously when we pair it all together, and we just have, again, I don't have the knife on right now, but we see we have the bearish control zone lit up, and then we get the hard buy signal, bearish control zone, hard buy signal, bullish control zone, hard sell signal, strict cross right here. We can see how they pair up. We can alter these numbers, we can alter these levels, and make it more or less reliable, getting more or less signals accordingly. And then finally, if we just put our last piece of the puzzle back on here, that is our knife. And then we have the entire indicator in all its greatness. So we see obviously the knife can get above our 100 level or below our 0 level, but it's designed not to go too crazy above or below those levels. But we know that when we do see it stabbing out above or below those levels, that it's worth paying attention to. And then just to, what I will do, I will do a quick little dive into the knife for anyone that is not familiar with it. You know what? I'm going to turn off the stochastics as well. So we'll just turn off the alpha and the beta. So here is just the knife on its own. So the idea of the knife is basically, it's essentially for like scalping or picking like tops or bottoms. So again, it's not 100% just because you see a big aggressive knife that has to be the top on the macro. But it's, basically warning you that this is either the top or the next drive we see, look for divergence. So here we see a little top right there and then another push up, and that is our divergence signal telling us we have at least short-term top. And then same thing as well, we have a macro top right here, and then we can compare it to the lower high top right here. And then again, that's telling us there's a divergence between those two peaks, and then we sell off. And then again, we have, a peak to the downside here. We have another peak to the downside here. This time it nails it perfectly. Obviously you're looking to buy, areas where it's down red or sell areas where it's green. But again, you want to trade with the trend. So here again, we see a peak where it's green right here. And then we actually see some continuation. We see a peak right here, and that's the absolute top. We see a peak right here, and that was like an initial bounce, but then continue to the downside. We see a peak right here, and that is like the absolute bottom. Peak right here, and that's the absolute top. So again, it's not 100% accurate. The key thing we're paying attention to is when it's above the 80 level, you know, it's reliable, or below the 20 level, it's more reliable. When we see it above the 100 level or below the 0 level, it's even more reliable, telling us there was a very, very violent move that just took place, and the likelihood is that whatever move took place is not sustainable in the long term. Does not tell us that that is going to be the absolute top or absolute bottom, but it gives us a good indication as to whether we're going to see continuation and whether we can look for bullish or bearish divergence. So, and that is the knife. And that is the whole entire indicator in all of its glory. And even if you don't have the stochastics on, you can still use all those different criteria at will. So you can still have it light up the bullish and bearish control zone without even having the stochastic on here. So you can use just the knife with the bullish and bearish control zone with the buy signals if you want. You can use it all together. You can do whatever the hell you want. Unfortunately, this one is only going to be available to group members. But now, as where previously you only got, or not you only, you could only get access to the TJD Master through the group, or, you know, obviously showing the support. Now you get a double trouble bonus. You get the TJD BNE, or whatever I rename it, and the TJD Master as well. So obviously phenomenal. Anyone that has been using the Jewel Thief for any amount of time knows that it works phenomenally well. And then obviously put it on display here also tonight. So that is the TJD BNE, or whatever I change it to. You'll know in the title of the snippet for this video. And this is the, you know, basically TJD indicator series on how to use said indicator. And if you haven't checked out the other videos on how to use all the other indicators, I highly recommend you take a look at those as well, as there are many valuable and useful indicators available for free, as well as the ones that are exclusive to the group members. So remember also, this is not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. These markets are extremely volatile. Please do your own research and trade responsibly.